Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Ken! 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 Ken!
Hey everyone, and welcome to the recap of day 10 in the Karen Read case. Finally, Lally can rest. We know what, if any, snow was at the scene at Fairview 34 on the morning where John O'Keefe was found. And if you watched my video yesterday, when is a blizzard, I was right. There was practically no snow. Less than 5 inches of snow. Clear visibility. There was no whiteout. We now have a meteorologist expert's word that every single police officer and civilian witness claiming that it was impossible to drive, impossible to see anything, impossible to get there because of the snow was a liar. He had done the weather report, the accumulation of snow, and as I have shown you many times, the total accumulated snowfall at 6 in the morning is 3.3 inches of snow over the last 24 hours, which is nothing. So this story about how bad the weather was isn't true. If you go in and look at the weather charts, at around 7, 8 in the morning is when the blizzard starts. Yes, there had been gusts of high wind at that time, but it wasn't a blizzard. He actually said that there would have been over a mile visibility at that time. Why did they not prep or get a better witness for the Commonwealth? This is, again, another guy who is good for the defense if the jury listens to what he actually says. This guy said, Carrie Roberts is a liar when she said we had to dust off snow on John. Jen McCabe, when he was covered in snow, all the police officers said, well, I could hardly drive there. All of those people lied because anyone who would call that a blizzard should move to the middle of the Sahara where it hardly ever snows. But it all depends if the jury picked it up. We always have to say that. We finished off Lieutenant Lanigan, maybe, who had some of the weirdest testimony, because he knew that the acting deputy chief across the street had a camera, but that camera could in no way have seen anything. Did you check it? No. I talked to him earlier and he said that he didn't cover the street with his camera. Come on, brother. It's a police officer. Of course he's covering the street. He's not just covering right in front of his front door, even though that's the legal thing probably. In Denmark, I can't set up a camera covering public access. I can only cover my own yard. But don't tell me a police officer wouldn't accidentally bump it up so he could see what happened. Why have home security if you only tape this far from your front door? It doesn't make sense. And then he didn't have it activated because it's a busy street, so it would run out of battery. I don't know what third world country America is, but we have electricity that doesn't run off battery. You can just hook it up either to the doorbell wire, or you can buy the version with an 8-feet cord and a solar panel that can recharge your batteries. That entire surveillance camera, I never needed to see it because I talked to him about it, seems so stupid that anyone who has a security camera would be sitting there thinking, what? But he never had any reason to go into the house. He didn't give the officer special treatment, even though he recognized that because he knew them, he couldn't interview them. But it wasn't because they got special treatment. He followed all the rules and everything was fine. I didn't like him. I feel like he got a very big dose of defense dementia and didn't want to talk. I hope the jury picks up on it. We had the weatherman. Then we had Guarino come back and read some text messages. No, he read some phone records and played the voicemails that Karen left. Anyone who listened to that and heard a woman trying to plant an alibi really needs to get their head checked. First of all, she was angry. She was angry she had to go home and take care of his kids because he went on partying. That's what I could tell from her voice. I might have had one of those voice messages in my past. Second of all, when you hear her in the morning, you clearly hear a woman who is distraught. And again, I know they all say we are the conspiracy theorists, but you want us to believe that Karen Read is such a smart criminal. She kills John O'Keefe, drives home. No one saw it. So if she just shuts up, goes to bed, wakes up in the morning when people call her and say, hey, we found John. He's passed away. She says, oh my God, I left him at Fairview 34. He went into the house and I drove home because I didn't feel well. What could have happened? She could have gotten way easier away with this. But instead, she loses her mind on the road home from Fairview, yelling at John, calling him a pervert and thinking he's out banging some other chick. And then in the morning, she gets really distraught he didn't come home. If I'm a conspiracy theorist, what are you? Because the reasonable mind would say, if you want to cover up a crime, you just drive home, you maybe send a text and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. Have fun with your friends. And then you wait for the phone call in the morning and you turn on the waterworks and say, I loved him so much. He must have slipped and fallen when he got out of the car or something. I don't know what happened. Imagine if that had been the thing that the smart criminal had done, but instead she went back and found a dead body. How do you explain that, all you antis? You can't. That it makes no sense if you have a human working mind. We also had O'Hara from the CERT team. He massaged the timeline a little bit. Last year, he said they started their search at 5:41. This year, no, 5:24. Because they had that little problem last year when they said we started at 5:41 before the murder weapon was back at the Sally Port. And then they found out, oh, by the way, Proctor had put in the wrong time in his report. So yes, Karen Read's Jeep was already at the Sally Port at 5:34. Yeah, 5:34. So there was ample time to rip off a piece of tail light, get to the scene, drop it in the snow, if that is what happened, because they had the time to do it. It's 6 minutes away. He had more than enough time. And they were talking about how they did this investigation, how good they were, but they never really talked about how the hell couldn't everyone see the red reflective glass when there was no snow in the morning. We know that from the weatherman. How didn't you find an 11-inch long piece of red reflective glass in the morning when there was no snow? I really hope the jury catches on to that, because all the expert witnesses provided so far from the Commonwealth have said, I can't with a 100% accuracy tell you anything about what happened in the phone. The blood draw could be tainted, and there was no snow. If you take out all those witnesses who could have a bias and just listen to the experts who came and saw the case after the fact, there's so much reasonable doubt here that you, even if you are Caffey Daffy, Doink the Clown, Plevin, or Krusty the Pants, you can't say there's not enough reasonable doubt to throw this case out. And that's the problem Why do they keep going with this trial when there's no evidence? Every expert says this has nothing to do with a car strike. But there's a lot of people lying on the stand. That's a big old problem. We know it. Sadly, I'm not sure the jury does. But they'll have to make sure they understand that every single expert witness so far has raised reasonable doubt about evidence put forward by the Commonwealth. Why are we still here? Why haven't we, 10 days into a trial, heard anything about the murder victim? Maybe day 11 is the day we find out.